Well, let's bring into the conversation. It's her second time on Outsiders. We're delighted to have her back live from London. Katie Hopkins. Katie, how are you?
I'm very well indeed. Thank you very much. You're not going to warn your viewers to go and hide under a sofa this evening, you know?
I was told off so comprehensively. Still, our chat last time, Katie, has had 1 million views on the Sky News YouTube channel, so I urge people to go and make it 2 million and maybe make this one 1 million as well. Katie,
very kind.
Katie, tell us what's been happening. First of all, you've got a new leader of the opposition there. Let's just quickly chat about him. Your thoughts?
Yes, Keir Starmer. Keir Starmer is essentially like a sort of a Ken doll, you know, Barbie and Ken. He's sort of like a Ken doll, but with mental health issues. Keir Starmer has 3 favourite people, me, myself and I. If it's possible to drag Keir Starmer away from the mirror for any period of time, we'll see what he gets up to. But essentially, he's been elected as the leader of the opposition because if you squint quite a lot and drink half a bottle of wine, he looks like Tony Blair, and that's what Labour are hoping to get back into power.
Fantastic. Well, listen, Katie, tell us your thoughts on Corona and why it seems so scary. You're living there in the UK where it's out of control. The deaths are tragic and horrific.
Oh, please. Rowan, please. Rowan, wind it in. Stop talking.
You go, you go.
Australian. Stop being so dramatic. Okay, I'm sick to death of this Corona madness. I'm here in London. I live utterly without fear. I know that I can't get Corona because I was not born. I landed. And so there is no fear for me at all. What I would say is that there is utter craziness going on. The death toll does not seem that bad to me. When you look at deaths week by week last year, they're exactly the same as deaths this year. We haven't actually seen an increased number of deaths. What we have seen, and let me find the documentation that supports this, is
being told that even if someone has Corona, they are to mark the death down as if the person died of Corona. So we haven't got an accurate tally on this Corona madness at all. Now, the other thing I would point out to lovely Australians is that us British people are terrified of our own reflection, and we can't talk about death whatsoever. My mother won't even say the word dead. When my mother sends an in-sympathy card to a relative or a neighbour, she can't write any words in it because we just don't have the words for death because we're too busy drinking tea. So the thing is, if you show British people pictures of coffins, they overreact massively. And that's precisely what happened. We're just not used to seeing pictures of coffins. And if I could make one last polite request, I don't know if Australians are doing it or not, but British people are out clapping at the sky. Are you doing that, Rowan? Are Australians doing that? Are you clapping at the sky?
We haven't started clapping at the sky. Rita?
Right. I mean, hold on, Rita. I just got to 1 second. We're clapping. People are standing on their doorsteps at 8 p.m. clapping in support of our health workers, our supermarket workers, our funeral directors. Okay, I get it. But if alien life were to look down at the UK and see people clapping at the sky, what on earth are they going to think of us? We're supposed to be an evolved species, and we're standing outside clapping at the sky like some North Korean on Xanax.
Rita.
Well, if the aliens are looking at us, how are they going to judge how the UK is approaching this crisis compared to, say, Germany or Sweden or China? Can you take us through what's happening in Europe and beyond?
Yes, and good on you, Rita, by the way. I want to say I love you, darling. Many, many people out there love you too, and you just keep going. I see half the amount of crap you take from certain individuals, and I think you're fabulous. So go you, go you. Anywho, big comparison between different countries and how they are coping with Corona. The Swedish have just gone frightfully Swedish and asked people to be a little bit nicer to each other, to listen into some more ABBA, and all of Sweden is open. Schools, restaurants, bars, and they just say, would you mind awfully just being a little bit further apart and applying some common sense. So very Swedish, and as a result, everything there is going fine. Germany have gone full autistic spectrum, and everything, of course, is about how to automate testing, how to be efficient, how to show no emotion whatsoever. Angela Merkel, I believe, could stab both her parents to death in the night with an ice pick and still turn up in a pantsuit at the European Parliament and discuss fisheries policy the next morning. And that's very much the German attitude to Corona. They just don't show emotion and they cope with it. Best attitude of all, Belarus. what has the leader of Belarus said? He said, drink more vodka, have more saunas. And that is how we will get through this. I love the people of Belarus, and if I was allowed to fly anywhere, I'd be there tomorrow.
James.
Katie, I think I like the Belarusian solution best of all, but I want to ask about what's happening in the UK with your sort of suburban Stasi. Do you have a phenomenon over there of people trying to dob people in for going outside or doing the wrong thing or not buying just pure essentials in the markets, that kind of thing?
Yes, in fact, and you can rely on me, boys, and Rita, darling, you're an honorary boy, as I am. Most men in the UK say my testicles are substantially larger than theirs are. But I have been reported to my very own local police, the Devon and Cornwall police. They know me well. They come knocking on my door when I say a naughty thing. I have been reported to the police for going to my local garden centre. My local garden centre has defied the notice that he's no longer allowed to trade. There's a bit of prop work here. You're going to love this, Rowan. They ripped up the prohibition notice. They're carrying on trading. I'm there in support. And as a result, I have been reported to the police for going to buy plants when I shouldn't do that because it's not essential. We've also had police putting drones up and monitoring very innocent middle-class white people walking their dogs in hillsides. But of course, if you live in Little Pakistan, which is Birmingham, then you're allowed to turn out for a majority Pakistani Muslim funeral of 100 people, and the Labour MP turned up for those funerals as well. So two very different forms of policing going on in the UK, one for white middle-class people and their dogs, and a different form of Sharia policing for Muslims who are allowed to carry on as normal.
So, Katie, the British police like to check your thinking. Now they're checking your digging to see what plants you're planting in your garden.
What's next, Rowan?
That doesn't surprise me. Well, I hate to think...
They'll be in my underwear drawer next, darling. That's where the police are coming, and they're welcome to look.
Well, we've had that here in Australia. We've also had a bonking ban. One of our premiers has had a bonking ban in Victoria. So it's all happening here as well. But you've also talked about, Katie, how certain of the very wealthy elites have used this opportunity to try and get more government money for their particular industries. Chief amongst them, you made a very funny clip. We played a bit of it last week about Richard Branson. Tell us what has upset you about Virgin and Richard Branson.
Well, Rowan, I'm very delighted that you've become my secret stalker and you've started playing clips of me when you're having your morning shower. That's a thoroughly sensible and smart thing. More people should do that all the time, obviously.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah. And I really believe that at this time, what we don't need is people expecting more from the British taxpayer. We are at a tipping point at the moment, and the facts and the figures, just to prove my journalistic credentials, a 6.4% decline in the market will mean that trying to keep people on lockdown will not have been worthwhile. More people will die from a 6.4% decline in the market than they will from corona. So the point is we need our businesses open. What we don't need is billionaires like Richard Branson, let's call him Dick for short, shall we? We don't need Dick asking British taxpayers to bail out his airline. And as a handy reminder to my beautiful Australian family out there, Richard Branson has 4.1 billion pounds. He does not pay any tax into the UK economy. Look at him prattling about like some lunatic with an oversized beard. Cannot bear the fellow. Lives on an island. Thank God he's not anywhere near me. And he also sued our National Health Service when he believed that he did not get awarded a contract that he should have, and he got compensation from our National Health Service. So he is truly a dastardly individual. He is dastardly Dick. And what I say to Dick is sod off. And I'm sorry if, Rowan, that offends your delicate ear and you need to apologise to your viewers once more.
I won't, don't you worry, Katie. But I do think, so we won't see Richard Branson clapping at the air like all the other Brits out there in favour of the National Health Service. OK. Footballers as well. Apparently you've got wealthy footballers in the UK who think that they should be getting some subsidies or some compensation for the coronavirus. Is that correct?
Well, no, darling. Rowan, the footballers have actually listened to me. And so this is one of the things that happens in the UK. Thank you, darling, yes. I am silenced here in the UK. I'm not allowed on any media whatsoever, mostly because most of the media barons here in the UK only have one testicle between them. But despite that, my enormous influence, extending now to your own bathroom where you watch me when you're having your shower in the morning, is that our footballers, our football clubs here in the UK, which football, I don't know, is football the same in Australia?
Soccer.
With the round ball.
Yep,
soccer, darling. Soccer, the universal language.
Soccer.
Thank you, Rita, sweetie. I need subtitles. It's being British. It's very hard. Footballers, in the clubs that they were in, the workers in the club, so the guy who makes the programmes, the caterer, the cleaner, either they were furloughed, so they were got rid of, or they were asked to take a pay cut. Now, these guys were on minimum wage and they had to take a pay cut, but the footballers, who were on 10 to 12 million a week, were still taking home all of their salaries. So basically, the poor people were being hit hardest. And you can see how much of a socialist I am. You can see that I'm all about socialist policies. I'm desperate to be Venezuela. No, I'm not. But I do care about the poor man. And so I had a go at the footballers. I told them to stop being so bloody, outrageously, greedy. And a jolly good thing has happened, and they've all agreed to hand over 30% of their wages to support the football clubs. So Britain is finally listening to Katie Hopkins. Hurrah, hurrah.
Fantastic. Well done. And just very briefly, Harry and Meghan didn't last very long on their little Canadian island, did they? They've rushed off to the lights of LA.
I know. Isn't she dastardly? I cannot stand a woman. I've got a small figure of her here that I just stick pins in on a regular basis because I can't bear her. Clearly, Canada is where celebrity goes to die. And they eat their own offspring. So, I understand why you would leave Canada. But now they're in LA. Clearly, she thinks she's where she should have been all along. I love the fact that Donald J. Trump came out and said, no, we're not paying for your security. So she's now going to go and have to beg Daddy Elton John or someone if he'll pay and stump up the cash. And now she's narrating this Disney movie, and you'll remember the clips of Harry basically prostituting his wife for that voiceover. That kid has managed to go from the trailer park to Hollywood, and she's taken out the royal family on her way. You've got to give it to her. She's one powerful trailer park trash woman.
Katie Hopkins, thanks so much for talking to us on Outsiders, and we'll see you in a few weeks, I hope. Look after yourself. Take care at the Garden Centre.